Welcome to Change Your POV podcast. This is Motivation Monday,
where perspective is the vantage point of success. This quote is by Charles Swindoll. Mr. Chuck. Chuck is an evangelical Christian pastor, author, educator, and radio preacher. And this is a great quote. Life is 10% what happens to me and 90% of how I react to it. We all have a script. What is that script? What is that script that you say about yourself when you meet somebody for the first time? Or, somebody says, tell me a little bit about yourself. We all have a script. My childhood was this. I grew up, with these hardships. This, whatever it is. I got military disabled. I got out of the military. The VA, it wasn't good to me, and woe is me. Everyone has a script, a positive script, a negative script. But at the end of the day, what Chuck tells us here is life is 10% of what happens to us, but 90% of how we react to it. Just the other day, I was on my way home, and some jackass completely, everyone's excited to get home at the end of the day. I get it, right? And some people are more excited than others. And this guy must have really been looking forward to getting home, because he was just driving like a banshee. And he cut me off. It swerved in, got in front of me, passed me, in a no passing lane. And it was just, I was going above the speed limit, so it wasn't that. He was just being an ass. And I just remember, and that's 10% of what, that just happened to me, right? But 90% is how we react to it. And I remember it wasn't that long ago in my life when something like that would happen to me. And I would, guilty here, but I've chased people down that have done that to me and followed them to a parking lot and got out of my car and screamed at them. And, I've, rode their bumper and flashed my lights and honked my horn and, this whole road rage thing, right? I've done that. I'm embarrassed to say that I've done that, but I have. I've succumbed to that. That's 90% of how I react to situations, right? Both of those instances is the 10% of somebody doing something to me, but the rest of it, right? So before, that would totally ruin my day. I would have a shitty day the rest of the day. That'd be the only thing I'd talk about all day long. And it would just completely consume me because I allowed it to consume me. Whereas now, the other day when it happened to me, it was still 10% of what happened to me. 90%, I just blew them off. I was just like, whatever. I'm listening to my audiobook. I'm enjoying the podcast that I'm listening to, whatever it was. And I'm just enjoying my ride home. And I got home, and I didn't take anything out on my family, and I didn't even tell the story of that when I got home because it was completely behind me. 10% is what happens to you. 90% is how you react to it. Have a great Monday.